հաղորդման հովանավոր Dignity Health Glendale Memorial Hospital.
I'm Dr. Minayan. I'm a neurologist with subspecialty in vascular neurology. I practice at Dignity Health Glendale Memorial Hospital. Today I want to talk to you about memory care and the 5 factors or tips that could prevent memory loss. And they include diet, exercise, stress management, mental stimulation, and good sleep hygiene.
Բարի երեկո սիրելի բարեկամներ։ Այսօրվա մեր հայդակիրն է Armenian Education Foundation եւ իրենց աշխատանքները մեր համայնքի մեջ։ Armenian Education Foundation-ը մոտավորապես 70 տարվա պատմություն ունի մեր համայնքի մեջ եւ իրենց աշխատանքները կրթական եւ գաղութի համար են։
Հայ կրթական հիմնարկություն, ոչ շահութաբեր կազմակերպություն, որի առաքելությունն է նպաստել Հայաստանում եւ Սփյուռքում կրթական ծրագրերի եւ կրթօջախների հիմնադրմանն ու զարգացմանը։ 1950 թվականին հիմնադրվելուց ի վեր հիմնարկությունը նախաձեռնել եւ իրականացրել է մի շարք ծավալուն ծրագրեր։ Կազմակերպության ջանքերով Սփյուռքի ամենատարբեր կրթօջախներում կառուցվել են հայկական կրթօջախներ, ինչպիսիք են Աթենքի Լևոն եւ Սոֆիա Հակոբյան դպրոցը, Բուրջհամութի Լևոն եւ Սոֆիա Հակոբյան վարժարանը եւ Միացյալ Նահանգներում Ֆերահյան եւ Մեսրոպյան վարժարանները։ Հայաստանում, Արցախում եւ Ջավախքում վերանորոգվել են ավելի քան 200 դպրոցներ։ Մի շարք կրթօջախներ ապահովվել են գրենական պիտույքներով, համակարգիչներով եւ այլ անհրաժեշտ պարագաներով։ Հայ կրթական հիմնարկությունը կրթաթոշակներ է հատկացրել հարյուրավոր աշակերտների եւ ուսանողների, թե Հայաստանում եւ թե Արցախում ու Սփյուռքում։ Հիմնարկության շարունակական գործունեության շնորհիվ բազմաթիվ շնորհալի հայորդիներ, թե Հայաստանում, թե այլ երկրներում կարողացել են բարձրակարգ կրթություն ստանալ եւ հետագայում իրենց լուման ներդնել հայի բովանդակ շահերի պաշտպանությանն ու Հայաստանի Հանրապետության զարգացման գործում։ Այսօր մեր տաղավարում ենք հյուրընկալել Հայ կրթական հիմնարկության խորհրդի անդամներ Cabraloffին եւ Aida Rechdouni Jooharianին, ներկայացնելու կազմակերպության նվաճումներն ու զրուցելու ընթացիկ եւ հետագա ծրագրերի մասին։
We are an extremely transparent organization.
Really, every dollar that I donate, I know is making it into a very needy hand.
Our cost of projects is the lowest compared to similar organizations because A, we eliminate the intermediaries, and B, our board of directors are involved hands-on in our projects. They volunteer their time and donate resources free of charge.
You can adopt a student or you can adopt a whole school.
We've traveled to Armenia, we've seen the renovations of the schools, we've seen the scholarship recipients, and it's amazing the work that they've done.
We want to give back to the community, and when we thought about all the different organizations out there that help support Armenia, we felt AEF was the best for us because it shared our passion for children and education, but also the impact it has on the broader community. Not only did it help the children, but it helped the rest of the community, whether it's adults who were able to get jobs or the teachers who had better supplies and opportunities.
Armenian students still need help to go to college. The state doesn't provide for all of their academic needs. And so giving them the jump start there to achieve their goals in Armenia on the collegiate level is also critical.
It is tough when someone's fully qualified and they have all the desire and they want to learn, and it's their way to help not only themselves but their nation be successful. It's heartbreaking not to be able to help them.
If it wasn't for the generosity of our donors and sponsors, a lot of our students wouldn't be able to continue their education.
Ընտանիքիս հոգսը թեթևացրեց, մեկ հոգսը եւս թեթևացրեց։ Այժմ ես աշխատում եմ իմ մասնագիտությամբ եւ բավականին ձեռքբերումներ ունեմ։
Նախ առաջինն որ ես շարունակեցի ուսումը, առանց մտահոգվելու, որ վճարը չկա։ Երկրորդն էր, որ ինքը ինձ հնարավորություն տվեց նաեւ ուսումնասիրությունները շարունակելու։
In Armenia, you can send a student to a public university for $1,000 a year. So for $4,000, you can put a student in Armenia through college.
We have given out $1.3 million of scholarships since 2000. We expect to pay $185,000 of scholarship in 2015.
This year, we will hand out 131 scholarships to university students in Armenia and Artsakh.
Հայ կրթական հիմնարկությունը կատարում է ծնողի դեր։
միայն ծնողն է, չէ, ուսման վարձերը հոգում իր երեխայի, այնպես որ հայ կրթական հիմնարկությունը կատարում է ուղղակի ծնողի դեր։
Today we're here and we're packing for 500 students. So we really try to help schools and students to get what they need in order for a student to stay motivated to continue with their schooling.
We've been packing up some boxes, getting them ready to get shipped out to Armenia for all the kids out there. Backpacks, pencils, all the good bunch of things that we take for granted, but for them means a lot, you know, so.
Քանի անգամ դարվան մեջ 3-4 անգամ այսպես գնենք եւ մեր մայրենի հողին գրգենք։
School Supply Program has provided to date 18,000 students with backpack full of school supplies.
Well, for years we have been packing supplies and shipping them to Armenia. We not only ship them, but we make sure we have people right there on the ground delivering and supervising the passing out as much as humanly possible. Now here we have whiteboards and we have smart boards. They just get thrilled to have blackboards. And can you imagine walking in a kindergarten room where there's decorations versus walking into a kindergarten room where the walls are mildewed? The difference, how can you even question that kids are happy? The kids love it.
Our computer program, supplying computers for every school, has had a wonderful impact because a lot of these villages are remote villages. There is minimal access to the outside world, and a computer connected to the internet can open the world for a child. At some point, there might be the next Bill Gates sitting in that village on that computer.
Մարդիկ հաճախ որ հանդիպում զրուցում էի, ասում էին Ստեփան ջան, մեզ ջուր պետք չի, գետա, ռույա մի բանից կօգտվենք, լույս պետք չի, նախկին ձևով կապրենք, ճրակներ կվառենք եւ այլն, բայց որ դպրոց չկա, մենք այդ գյուղում չենք ապրի, մեր երեխեն հայ երեխեն պետք է կրթվի։
School renovation program has been huge. Renovating a school in a village has so much positive impact. It gives hope to everybody in the village.
It creates jobs in the village. The students benefit because now they have a school that is not leaking, it's not cold, and it gives them hope to stay in that village.
And it also instills the idea that there are a lot more people outside of Armenia in the diaspora that care about them.
Դպրոցի վերանորոգման շրջանում բացվեցին աշխատատեղեր, որում ընդգրկվեցին նաև գյուղի համայնքի բնակիչները.
There was no shortage of school that needed to be renovated, but if we had to pick one over the other, we picked schools that were in border villages.
Schools in Armenia are usually the hub of a village, and therefore, when that hub is disintegrating, people in that village often disperse.
We are trying to prevent the depopulation in the way we can.
One of the biggest problems we have in the remote villages is that people are moving out. And a remote village is a very strategic village to the nation, because if people move out of the village and there's no one there anymore, then all of a sudden it's too easy for someone else to take that land.
The schools before renovation are in such bad shape that whoever who visits it comes back eyes full of tears, wondering why any child should go to school in that condition.
Չունեինք հարմարավետ կահույք, դպրոցը նորմալ վիճակում չէր.
There was no heating, a dilapidated roof, no insulation, no washrooms, no kitchen, and it broke our hearts.
Many of those schools don't have heat, many don't have water, and when you go to the areas during the winter and you see snow outside and you see windows broken in the school and the kids sitting inside with huge jackets trying to study, you wonder, how could this be?
Պետությունը չի կարող կատարել մեզ իրոք օգնության ձեռք է պետք։ Ընդհանուր առմամբ բոլորի կողմից ընդունված էր մարդասիրական օգնությունը։
To date, 885 schools have been renovated, and depending on the needs of the school, we have spent from 3,000 to 400,000 for different schools.
Տոնական միջավայր է դառնում հենց երեխայի համար, ծնողների, ուսուցիչների համար։ Իրանք էլ են հաճույքով միշտ դպրոց գալիս, երեխան հաճույքով գալիս է դասը սովորելու։
Նախ կցանկանանք շնորհակալություն հայտնել, որտեղ շատ հաճելի է սովորել նման դպրոցում, մաքուր պատերով, լավ միջավայրով, եւ ինչինև նպաստում է նաեւ կրթական բարելավմանը, մակարդակի բարձրացմանը։
Վերանորոգումից հետո դպրոցը ավելի գեղեցիկ էր եւ մենք դպրոց գալուց հետո մենք ավելի հարմարավետ կահույք եւ հարմարություններ ունեցանք։
Ստացանք նաեւ նոր կահույք, նոր գրքեր, աշխատանքային տետրեր, որոնք ավելի հեշտացրեցին եւ ավելի հաճելի դարձրեցին մեր ուսումը։
The villager tell us that the school is the heart of the village. We take care of the heart. We heal the heart of the village.
They're happy they have a pencil. They're happy they have books and a brand new table. It really is heartwarming and makes you want to help them more.
When you donate $1, you really do see it translate into outcomes.
We actually get things done. We can see tangible benefits. We can see a school go up. We can see a student graduate from a university.
When we are in Armenia and we see how we are able to change the hope of a small village, it makes you really want to be part of the organization.
The smiles on the children, the smiles on the families, they can stay in the village that they're at. They don't have to leave Armenia. Those are important things. Those are things as an Armenian that I care about.
Join us any way you can. It's a great program. Bring your expertise, become members, come and work in our committees, and you would be very happy if you join us.
Over 65 years, so many different generations and members have come and gone, yet the organization continues getting stronger.
AEF is reshaping and educating the future leaders of Armenia.
Կարևոր է կրթված լինելը, լավ կրթություն ստանալը, ինչպես նաև օգուտ է դա նաև պետությանը, որպեսզի կարողանանք հետագայում լավ աշխատուժ դառնալու։
Սեր պայգամներ այսօրվա մեր հյուրերն են Dr. Aida Rechdounին, որ Armenian Education Foundation-ի Vice President-ն է, եւ Al Cabraloff, որ board-ի անդամ է։ Բարի եկացեք։ We're going to do it in English, so
yes,
we'll go into English.
Thank you.
Any background about the foundation?
Yeah, I mean, the Armenian Education Foundation, as you just mentioned, has a long history in the community here in Southern California. It was started in 1950. And it's very interesting how it started. It was Mr. Alex Bilibos, Mr. Harry Karian, and Mr. Arpak Setragian. They were visiting the Middle East. And during their visits, they wanted to visit the Armenian communities in Lebanon and Syria. They were shocked by the condition of the schools, in the Armenian schools in these two countries. And the situation that the Armenian students were studying under. So when they came back to the United States, they shared their experience, their observation with fellow Armenian Americans like Mr. Arshak Dikranian, Sofia Hagopian, and everybody came, George Kardashian, and everybody came to create this foundation because they felt that there's a big need to help the Armenian communities in the Middle East educate their children. So in the fall of 1950, this foundation was already formed.
So these are the prominent Armenians. Alex Plevos, who we know opened the Armenian school in Hollywood. Arshak Tikranyan, he had his own school. Unfortunately, it was shut down now. And the other prominent community members at the time.
As Al just said, who's who in the
Armenian
community in the 50s are the founders of the Armenian Education Foundation. And they founded it by donating each from their own pocket. And they created a fund of $147,000 at that time.
That's a lot of money.
If we factor in inflation and the value now, it's over $1.5 million.
Oh, more than that, I would say.
Yeah, more than that.
$1950.
So that was founded. They started helping Armenian schools in the diaspora. From 1950 to 1959, they donated around $245,000 to 59 Armenian schools in Lebanon, in Greece, in Iraq, in Iran, in Italy, in France, in Syria.
So the mission was to, at the time, when it was just initially formed, to help the Armenian schools in Lebanon and Syria, in Middle East, basically, right? Because they saw these schools' condition and they deplorable, and they said we should help these schools in these communities.
I think the mission was that, but it was even broader than that. The mission, which hasn't changed even today, the mission in the beginning was to advance the Armenian heritage through support of the education of the young generation. And at that time, there were no Armenian schools in the United States. The Armenian schools were other parts of the diaspora. So this group of people had the foresight to say, we need to educate our young people, and here's where they need it. So up until 1964, 1965, that's kind of how AAF operated.
I mean, the purpose of forming this organization, they had 3 points that they wanted to cover. It was the render financial assistance to Armenian schools in the Middle East or in countries where there are Armenian communities, irrespective of their religion, affiliation, or denomination. Then to assist Armenian students or students of Armenian parentage achieve their college and university degrees at that time, and to aid establish Armenian schools in countries where there are Armenian communities.
So they were trying to help the students as well as the schools in the Middle East to at least, be able people to send their children to Armenian schools, right? Plus help the school, because the schools were in bad shape back in the 50s.
I mean, there's one
60s.
of the letters from Zare Vehapar says that there were schools that were threatened by the government in Lebanon to be shut down because of the sanitary situation, Armenian schools. They didn't have funds. So the Armenian Education Foundation stepped in, helped the schools to keep their own doors open, to provide a safer and better environment for the Armenian children to get educated.
El, when did you get involved in this organization?
Personally, I got involved in 2004. When I went to Armenia, I happened to visit my grandfather's village. I was not a member of AAF at the time, my first trip to Armenia. And when I went into the village, I found a second cousin. I asked my cousin, what does the village need? And to my surprise, instead of saying, well, we need a car or something, he said, we need the school fixed up. So I went
your
my grandfather's village. So we went to the school and we looked at the school. I came back and a gentleman by the name of Ralph Tufenkian suggested that I have the AEF, the Armenian Educational Foundation, look at the school to do the renovation. One thing led to another, and that's what ended up happening. So that's how I got involved with the AEF. Joined the board 12 years ago as a result of that.
So you've been active board member since then?
Yes, yeah.
Aida, when did you join the board
Well, I have
became active in this?
I've been a member for many years, but it was 3 years ago that I joined the board of directors.
How big is the board? Just curiosity.
We
have 15 board members, and it's a very active board. Of course, they're all volunteers.
Right.
Many of them have been on the board for a number of years, but we're getting new members all the time. We do a rotation, so we keep it fresh, but pretty much nobody wants to leave the board.
Is there a term limit?
There's term limits, and they still come to the meetings after the term limits. So
even if they're not on the board, they're still volunteering and helping.
Right.
How many members you have?
That is a problem. I mean, we do tremendous work. Once we start talking about the work that we're doing and donations that the Armenian Education Foundation has made, I mean, if you look at the numbers since 2000 until now, we have donated around $8 million.
That's a lot of money.
But we have only 80 members. We have 80 members and we have around 150 supporters. So we are a small organization, but the work that we do is tremendous.
And it's based in LA?
It's based in LA. Our office is in Glendale.
Okay.
We have one part-time employee in Glendale, and the entire work is done by volunteers. We have one full-time employee in Armenia, and we just hired a part-time employee to help her out.
In Armenia?
In Armenia, but all the work is done through volunteer work. Our board members pay everything from their own pocket. When they travel to Armenia, they pay from their own pocket. When they go to visit the villages and the schools that are renovated, they pay from their own pocket. Our books are always open to all our members to review. Our accounting is very transparent.
Very transparent.
Yep.
So, I mean, whatever you raise funds, and you're a nonprofit organization, I'm assuming,
we are,
501c3. So it's a 501c3 organization, right?
Yes.
It's a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so whatever you raise, you spend it back in the community. And it's very transparent, as you indicated.
Yeah, and that has started since the 50s. In 1952, Archie Kranian went to the Middle East to see how the funds are being spent. And he was very pleased to see that every cent that was raised and donated has been allocated to the exact place that it was intended to. So
I mean, it's very open and transparent, and people can check. And you have a website that people can go and check it out?
We do. We have a website. It's afweb.org, and a lot of our history is there. A lot of our projects, all of our projects are listed there. And any member can come to any board meeting, and we present the financials at least twice a year to general meetings. So we're proud of that transparency. One example, since we brought it up, and since it is kind of on the top of our minds right now with everything going on in Armenia,
right,
is about 10 years ago, the New York Life Insurance Company gave out 10 $1 million awards to 10 different Armenian organizations. AEF was one of those.
Oh.
So AEF actually got, we received 333,000. There was 10 awards of 333,000. AEF got 333,000. We applied those funds to different projects, school renovations, scholarships for Armenian university students, and a few other things. And we published in the local Armenian newspapers where we spent that money. I think we were the only organization that did that.
We're going to take a break. So we're at the end of our first segment, so when we come back, we'll discuss some of your projects and where the funds are allocated.
Okay.
Սիրելի պայգամներ, գաչ թաթարեմը հետը պիտի վերաթարնակ մեր հայդակին։ Սիրելի պայգամներ, այսօրվա մեր հայդակիրն է Armenian Education Foundation եւ իրենց աշխատանքները մեր համայնքներս։ Al, just before the break, we were talking about the project. So why don't you describe to us, to our audience, the projects you guys working on, specifically in U.S. I know you were doing initially a lot of projects in the Middle East, but there's a fair amount of work is being done in the United States and the Armenian schools here in U.S.
Right. Yeah, and kind of following through that history, in 1965, the Armenian Educational Foundation was the major contributing founding donor, I guess you could call, for two new Armenian schools that started, both in 1965. Mesropian School
in Montebello.
In Montebello, Armenian Educational Foundation gave, I believe, $170,000 at that time. And to Sarian, it was $130,000. So this was the first major influx of funds in the United States for Armenian schools because
to start basically the Armenian schools in California.
Schools. And then in 1986, the AEF funded the chair at UCLA for modern Armenian history, for the studies of modern Armenian history. And of course, Professor Hovhannisyan was the professor for many years there. And that ensured that Armenian history was being taught at a major university in the United States, namely UCLA.
And that was a donation of $500,000 in 1986, which
is again almost
over $1 million.
Over $1 million today's dollars.
Today's dollars.
Substantial dollars been invested and donated.
And then kind of the turning point for not only the AEF but for many Armenian organizations was when the earthquake happened in Armenia in 1988. Everything shifted, all the focus by the AEF shifted to Armenia, and initially the AEF began to renovate and build schools in Gyumri and the other earthquake zones. And that was, everything kind of shifted. 1993, 1992, Armenian independence. We saw now it was open game for us to do, for the diaspora, AEF
to be more involved in Armenia.
To be more involved. So that's when we started our flagship programs, which we still continue to do today. Number one, school renovations. We have renovated since 1995, 185 different village schools, which represents over 200 projects, multiple projects within a school. We've also got our scholarship program that
in Armenia.
In Armenia, and we have scholarship programs also here in the U.S., in Lebanon. But our scholarship program in Armenia is for 4 years of university education, full tuition paid for students. We have over 240 students currently.
240 students today.
Today that we pay their full tuition for 4 years. In addition, we have 23 Syrian Armenian students who are refugees in Armenia now that we pay 40% of their tuition. The rest is paid by other NGOs. We have programs here in the US. We have the Richard Tufenkian Scholarship. It's $3,000. Actually, we're accepting applications now. The deadline is July 31st. Anybody interested can go on our website and apply. We are accepting applications for Richard Tufenkian scholarship for college students here in the United States. It's $3,000. Requirements are all listed on our website and also on our Facebook. If anybody wants to visit our Facebook, it's the Armenian Education Foundation. We have a scholarship with Glendale Community College. We offer a scholarship to 4 students. We have...
What is the criteria to, I mean, anybody can qualify? I mean, you have to show financial
They have to show
need.
financial need. They have to show good academic performance. They have to show community service.
I mean, how do you
in Armenia, I think we have 248 scholarships this year. Last year we had almost 1,000 applicants.
That people applied.
1,000 applicants. And so how do we choose? How does AEF choose?
Right.
There's a process. There are criteria, very well-defined criteria. There's a committee in Armenia that actually holds interviews. So, and the only thing really that's holding us back from giving out more scholarships, because most of those 1,000 are qualified, and there's many, many more. There's thousands.
The budget probably.
Is money. That's the only thing that's holding us back. And if you look at the value, 1 year scholarship, tuition is $1,000 in Armenia for a university.
Which is very, very
and that's
inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So,
by U.S. standards.
By U.S. standards. So it has huge impact. And the most interesting thing that that I think, if you look at the numbers, what are the results? Almost 79% of the graduates, of the AEF scholarship recipient graduates in 2015 and 2016, 79% have jobs today.
After they graduate.
After they graduate. 15% are stay-home mothers. I think 3% are graduate students.
It was the other way around.
And the other 3% I think are
unemployed. We have only 3% unemployment of our graduates, and they have all stayed in Armenia.
Nobody has left.
They have not left Armenia.
Nobody has left.
What are the fields usually they choose? Any statistics?
We look at the fields, and we're
sciences,
definitely sciences, definitely technology,
engineering, technology,
agriculture, sciences, engineering. We're trying to encourage them to get into majors that is going to help them get employed.
Help the economy.
And because IT is growing in Armenia and it's becoming one of their strongest industries with a very fast growth rate, we are encouraging our students to get into IT.
So IT is the field that definitely students are
emphasis. And because of that, we have some partnerships with other organizations like the Union of UITE, the Union of Technology Enterprises. We establish computer programs and computer labs in schools so that the children in Armenia are already exposed from an early age into technology. They learn coding, they learn, they have robotics. So the interest in technology is rising from an early age, and then they can continue in the field.
It's a competitive advantage that Armenia has to take advantage of. Of course, we all kind of know that, the technology. So it's being emphasized in everything that we do. We have a computer in every village school program where we've provided to over 100 of the AEF renovated schools. Over 100 of those schools, we've delivered computers, software, hardware, printers, and training to those schools and set up labs, and we continue that program. So for $1,200, a school can get 2 to 4 computers plus the training and the software. And the students love it because they can go to one place and learn how to use a computer.
You still do work in U.S. Ms. Robian and Alex Plebos and the others that
we do help. We had the Naviance program with Alec Pilibos. We funded it for 2 years. It helps students from Alec Pilibos get into universities. It's a program for that. We have we help CASPs. We donate to CASP. CASP is an organization, local organization that help Armenian students in public schools who are performing well. We donate scholarships to these students. We also started a new program with CASP, which identifies at-risk Armenian children, Armenian students at public schools. We hire tutors to the students so that their performance improves and they can continue their education.
We're going to take a break. We're almost at the end of our second segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about how do you fund all this? I'm curious to know the project you're describing, so many of them, and we'll see how the organization can fund these activities. Սիրելի բարեկամներ, մեր կարճ դատարանները պիտի վերադառնանք մեր հայդակրին։ Սիրելի բարեկամներ, այսօրվա մեր հյուրերն են Armenian Education Foundation երկու բորդի անդամները եւ կխոսին իրենց աշխատանքներում մասին։ Al, just before the break, you were discussing some of the projects that you're initiating as a board. What are some of these projects, especially the school supplies, and there's others projects that the board is initiating?
Yeah, in addition to the school renovations and the scholarships, we also have a school supplies program where we ship to Armenia and distribute in Armenia a backpack full of school supplies for K through 12 students.
For the year, for the whole school?
Basically, it will last the whole year. It's actually a lot of nice stuff. It's all assembled here in Glendale and shipped out. And I think to date, we have shipped out school supplies to almost 20,000 students. I think it's 19,400 students have received school supplies from the AEF. And,
that's in Armenia, Artsakh, and Jabakh.
Yeah.
And some of the schools, we were talking just at the break, that they're on the border, so very strategically important to keep these schools, right?
Absolutely. Of the 185 schools that the AEF has renovated, at least 90% are what we call border schools. And these are very strategic locations. These villages where these schools are located are seeing a depopulation. People are leaving. And when people leave a border village, it creates a security issue. So we strategically made the decision years ago to renovate those border schools, because once a border school is renovated, the children love the school, they want to stay there, the parents want to stay in the village, and you'll actually see kids from other villages coming to the newly renovated school. The school has heat, it has running water, and people don't leave the village anymore. And in fact, even more than that, in a number of cases, the government noticed that the school was renovated and made decisions to redo the roads to the village, to bring in gas to the village where previously they didn't have it, or even water. So there's a huge impact when a school is renovated in a village.
I mean, you have very ambitious programs. I mean, not just in U.S., in Armenia, in diaspora. So how do you funnel this? I mean, there's this big burden trying to fund this massive amount of projects. Even, I mean, the dollars might be smaller, but still, when you all add up, it's substantial dollars.
Yeah.
What is your budget, let's say? Annual budget, let's say.
Yeah, our annual budget is, you know, we're somewhere in the range of $1.5 million to $2 million. But you're right. We've talked about a lot of programs over the years. I think
this is over so many years.
Right.
I see.
So we focus. I think focus is the key. Focusing on the things that Armenia needs inside and outside of Armenia, and we're very good at that. We're very good at trying to figure out what the need is at the time, and so we try to focus on 3 or 4 key programs at any one time.
Aida, the Syrian Armenians, a lot of them left during the war. Is there any efforts been there to help the people in Damascus and Aleppo and the others?
Actually, yes, we did. In 2016, during the Syrian Armenian Telethon, AF donated $25,000 for schools to be not renovated, but schools needed financial assistance, and we donated $25,000 to that. We have pledged some funds when the situation is a little bit more stable in Syria to help renovate schools in Aleppo. But currently, as I mentioned, we're helping Syrian Armenian students in Yerevan who are attending schools, universities in Yerevan.
What about the other Middle Eastern countries? Clearly, the Armenian populations in Lebanon, in Syria, in Iraq, disappearing slowly. They're all leaving, either to go to Armenia or to US or Canada or Australia. So these populations are, basically depopulated. Yeah.
Well, we do help schools in Lebanon. We have still a fairly good
active community.
Community in Lebanon. So we have donations to schools in Ainjar. We have scholarships for Ainjar students. We have scholarships to...
In Beirut?
In Beirut. We have scholarships
Sofia Hagopian.
Sofia Hagopian.
One of your founders.
Exactly. We also help schools here. We had, so far, we have donated $220,000 to Mariam Davidian schools, which is Armenian classes in public schools. Here in California to encourage Armenian classes and to make sure that Armenian students in public schools have exposure to Armenian language.
So and this also done in various communities, or just in Glendale? Just because you're based in Glendale, I mean,
the thing about the AF is we are very versatile. When there is need, the AF is there to help. Initially, when we started, when the AF started, the focus was on schools in diaspora, on the Armenian student in diaspora. Then when we started seeing that there is need in Armenia, the focus shifted and we started helping the Armenian students in Armenia. We wanted to help the country in a way to not get all these students leaving the country. We wanted to offer them access to education.
Excellent. Do you raise any funds overseas or just in U.S.? Most of your fundraising is done in California, let's say.
Yeah, I would say most of it is, if not all of it, as far as I can recall, is U.S. Most of it California, but not all. We get donations from around the country. We do fundraisers every year. Every 5 years we'll do a major gala. I think our 70th anniversary is coming up in 2 years, so we will probably have a large gala, but we do fundraising. And we have membership dues, and we
so
also,
you have membership dues for members to pay.
We do, and we also have, which we haven't mentioned, we also have 18, I believe it's 18 foundations that have been set up by donors who have given to the AEF. You know, here's $100,000 AEF. I would like you to invest this for me, and whatever the investment makes on a yearly basis, use it to provide scholarships, or use it. So our funds range anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000, and some of those scholarships in Beirut are directed by those funds that were set up by families. So that's kind of another way that people can donate, and it's perpetual. Every year that fund stays there and hopefully it grows over time. They can add to it, but that's a great way to continue to, you know, help out in the future.
Do people donate their inheritance, let's say?
They do. They do, and that's what some of these foundations were set up that way, and other ways also, but there are a lot of tax advantages to that.
Sure.
I'm not a tax lawyer or
accountant
or CPA, but that is something that that we can help people if they're interested in that.
We're going to take a break.
Okay.
We're at the end of our third segment, and when we come back, we'll talk about your future and what the plans are for the future. Սիրելի բարեկամներ, գաչ թաթարամը հետո պիտի վերաթանանք մեր հայդակրին։ Սիրելի բարեկամներ, այսօրվա մեր հայդակիրն են Armenian Education Foundation-ը եւ իրենց աշխատանքները համաշխարհային աշխատանքները բոլոր երկրներում մեջ։ I mean, you have a very ambitious programs across the globe where Armenian communities are. I'm really impressed in Armenia, in Middle East, in US. How do you raise these funds? Is it difficult? And you said you have membership dues and people give donations. And how do you meet the budget, let's say?
It's a good question. It's tough, especially in our community. There are so many opportunities to donate money. I think I wouldn't say it's too difficult because our members and supporters are very passionate about what we do and the importance of education. And I think that along with the fact that they trust us, that our track record, they're confident that we will use the money in the best way, the smartest way, the most transparent way. I wouldn't say it's difficult. I think it's just obviously something that has to be done, and we're looking to stretch our reach out to new members, and I think that's maybe the difficult part. But from our current base of donors, they're very loyal, and when we have a specific project that we're raising money for, it's even easier because people know and they can see it. A school being renovated, you can see the result.
Sure.
and things like that.
Or scholarship. People will come and donate, and they will sponsor a student or two students for 4 years, and they will make a donation. And an interesting fact is that our membership fee of $500 is the same fee since inception.
Since
in 1950, the membership was
by those
exactly was $500, and it continues. In 1950, they had the annual gala. And at that time, $50 a plate was a big deal.
Very expensive.
Very expensive. We continue. We're charging.
Do you do $50 plates
it's
today?
It's more than that at this point. We do factor in inflation. However, membership fees have stayed the same.
Aida, how do you attract new members?
Well, this is
whoever is there is the old generation. How do you attract new generation to
a lot of our
members?
New members, like my parents were members, and then I became member. A lot of our members are members because their parents were members. But now we're trying to reach more. We're trying to spread the word. Armenian Education Foundation has been a very good kept secret, and we don't want it to stay a secret anymore. That's why that's why we reached out to you, and we do appreciate the time that you're giving us here to present what this foundation is doing, because we are trying to expand our membership. And when somebody donates, it's tax deductible, and it is serving the purpose that the donation was made for.
Because as Al said, it's completely transparent. I mean, people are not worried, is my money going to be spent what I intended to be, as opposed to being wasted.
For example, the scholarship committee that Al was mentioning, the scholarship committee in Armenia, this year they had they interviewed 330 students out of 690 qualifying students. Most of the committee members traveled from here on their own expense to Armenia to conduct the interviews. I mean, this speaks volumes about the work that this organization does.
Truly, it's a community worldwide to help students, organizations throughout the world, basically, right? What are your future plans?
I think that with our new government in Armenia, we have a wonderful opportunity, especially the Armenian Educational Foundation. This new government is talking about industries that the most likely industries to be successful, and those industries are information tech, anything to do with technology, I think healthcare, and we can impact that. We can emphasize educating the younger generation into those areas and giving scholarships for technology-related degrees will help fuel the country's success, the country's prosperity. So I think we have an opportunity with new leadership there who gets it, who understands the value of these new areas that our country needs to be educated in. I think it's a great opportunity, and I think that's what we will emphasize. We'll continue to do school renovations, but there will be more technology component involved. We'll continue to give scholarships, but it'll be more technology-related scholarships.
Is your activities going to be primarily focused in Armenia, or still Middle East is the focus?
We're still
even mid-US.
We still have activities in the diaspora. We're still involved in the Middle East, wherever there's an Armenian community and Armenian schools and Armenian students who need assistance to better their education, the Armenian Education Foundation is ready to help.
Absolutely.
How about in U.S.? I mean, there's really need to help students, let's say? I mean, because a lot of their universities offer financial aid, student loans. That type of thing is available, as opposed to in Armenia, where none of that is available.
That's true, but then we are helping on a school level. For example, when the Armenian schools needed to have their Armenian books, Armenian language books, recently, Armenian Education Foundation picked up part of the tab. They paid for it. So that, because as you know, Armenian schools are not making profits.
No.
They are barely meeting their
Expenses, yes.
expenses. So the Armenian Education Foundation has helped with books, has helped with libraries in Armenian schools. Here in the United States, we have also have some scholarships, as I mentioned, in CASP, helping Armenian students in public schools. So we do have several programs to help students here. These are mainly in school level, grade school level, but also, as I mentioned, we have the Richard Tufenkian college scholarship, $3,000 for Armenian students. As much as they can get scholarships, that $3,000 is also annual scholarship for 3 students that is available through the Richard.
So 3 students, so $9,000 a year.
Yep.
Yes, available through the Richard Tufenkian Foundation.
We're just at the end of our show, but how about the future? I mean, how do you see the organization moving forward in the future? I mean, it has a great run for almost 70 years, but how do you see it for the next 10, 20 years?
That's a tough question because so much depends.
That's my job to ask tough questions.
So much depends on how Armenia progresses, and I go back to the need for our mission to not change, and that is that we must have the most educated country and young people in the world, because that will give us some kind of competitive advantage. We don't have natural resources, we're landlocked, all those things that we know about, and we just need to keep doing this better than anybody else. The literacy rate in Armenia is very high, 99.9%.
It's 100%, I just checked it.
Very high.
100%. That's what UNESCO's report from 2015, it's 100%.
So supporting the prosperity of the country, making sure that whatever we do is moving the country forward, and we focus on education. We can't do everything, but if we do that well, then we're doing our job.
Yeah, I might add to Al's statement, for us, for Armenians, education is what has helped us survive.
Exactly.
And that's why we need more members, we need more supporters to help us achieve our goals.
With that, we're at the end of our show. I want to thank you, Aida, for your contributions, being on the board, helping the community. Al, thank you so much for your efforts, and we really appreciate you coming to the show and explaining this great organization that does wonders to the community and the Armenians at large. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Սիրելի բարեկամներ, այսպես որ վերջացնենք մեր հայդակիրը, գիշեր բարի։
Հաղորդման հովանավոր Dignity Health Glendale Memorial Hospital